Hi there, my name is Katarosha, and today we're going to be looking at the editing process that goes into your essays. Now, as a Writing Center tutor at Belmont Learning Centers, I see a few different things when it comes to editing those completed essays, but the one thing that I always recommend to students is to always read your essay out loud. It can be really in any step of the editing process, but especially important in the proofreading aspect. So we're going to be looking at three different types of editing: the substantive edit, the copy edit, and the proofreading aspect. So when we talk about a substantive edit, that is really talking about the clarification of concepts or what your main ideas are throughout your essays and how you can make them sound better or maybe fix them to add more analysis. Anything like that. So you'll want to improve those transitions from one paragraph to another, one in-text citation to another, or from in-text citation to analysis. This is also going to be looking into the access quality of your argument slash thesis, making sure all your points always come back to that argument slash thesis. And finally, reconstructing your text whenever it's needed, whether that is a clarification of ideas or creating less background information and more analysis of your own work. And next, in the copy edit, that is referring to the style and the flow of your essay. So making sure that you have a consistent voice and a consistent style throughout your essay that is pertinent to you, and finding and fixing those issues with clarity and accuracy while improving flow and readability. And this is a lot, I see this a lot when it comes to the in-text citations or when it comes to the syntax of your essay and even the diction in which you use to write it, making sure it's consistent throughout and also sounding as, argumentative as possible and just writing in the style that suits you best. And finally is the proofreading aspect, which comes with grammar and formatting. And again, this is the biggest part where I would recommend you read your essay out loud to yourself or even to another person. You'll be correcting your grammar, your punctuation, capitalization, and any spelling mistakes that you've made. You'll want to verify your word usage and your diction. And then overall, just checking your referencing, your overall formatting, and the style against the guidelines and requirements that are given to you, whether you're writing in MLA, APA, Chicago, etc., making sure that all of that really aligns with what you've been given. Some questions that are good to ask yourself when you are editing your essays is the opening paragraph intriguing to hook my reader, and do I make the same connections in my conclusion? Your introduction and your conclusion should look very similar to each other, but have differences, of course. Your argument is going to be written very clearly in your introduction, and then in your conclusion, it's going to be more of a general overlook of your entire essay. And something that I like to tell students is if one person were to read your conclusion, and what would you want them to take away from your essay? That's something that you might want to think about as well. Do I have an established thesis slash argument that I refer back to with each point I make? It's very important that students make sure that they have a very clear argument, 1 to 2 sentences max, and then make sure they refer to that throughout their entire essay. And finally, does the essay flow smoothly with a balance of background information and analysis? Sometimes essays are going to be more heavy on the analysis or more heavy on the background information, depending on the type of essay. But it's also really important to have that balance for all types of essays of background and analysis, because having too much or too little of one can affect your grade. The next thing that we're going to be talking about is professional emailing. So stay tuned for more.